It's exploded. Hook there on the Juju's with Thresh. Cannot defend her. I cannot believe.
It's gotta be the game.
I can let it final.
Mickey Well gets in behind him, trying to turn it in radius. Wave onto everyone. Triple kill for Radier and Mickey Well, last man standing. It's a slugfest. Double kill, triple kill, double kill, quadra kill, double kill, triple kill. My God, that was amazing.
Hooks on, Big Swift has gone mega, but they killed us support. Can't connect the chain, and Destiny, Hook is on, Swiffer is dead, Ray locked down Raze, Trippies gets that kill, and Spurs is stuck between the entire Wolfpack. Double kill for Fantix, they're running towards the Nexus.
Hello, welcome to this week 4, day 1 of the OPL, of course, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. Getting a look at the Avant Gaming lineup on your screen. Of course, they're going to be taking to Summoner's Rift against Tectonic, a team that, whilst yet to pick up a victory, has started to look more and more promising as the OPL split continues to spice up. Hello, I'm still Jake Spawn-Tiberi. Joining me, as always, is Bryce, Egan, Paul.
Hello. That's the theme of the day, apparently. The double greetings, hell yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's good. I back
it just rolled off the tongue. I don't know what else to say to you.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, I liked it. It's been an interesting OPL split so far. I mean, what has really taken you by shock so far as we take a look at the ladder? I mean, it's going to be Order and Direwolves up there. I mean, Chiefs, Avant, Legacy, and then 3 teams still yet to pick up a win. But it's been kind of interesting so far, how it's shaped out.
I think most recently, like the biggest shock upset was that AV game over Legacy. And it was a 2-0, but I think it was actually a very close 2-0. So if you're a person that just looked at the scoreboard, you're like, wow, Legacy got stomped. It wasn't quite like that, so I think that was the biggest, most recent upset for me.
Yeah, it certainly was. We bring up the week's games for you. It is actually going to be AV, that team that you were talking about, going up against Tectonic, see if their form continues before OPL Classico. And I got it right. I'm glad because I fumbled it about 15 times in rehearsal, and I demand that the Twitter sphere rename this game.
Pick a new one.
It's going to be Chiefs versus Legacy. The Anzac Day of the OPL. First time you haven't been playing in it, Bryce. You played on both sides. And it's going to be Bombers versus Sin Gaming. And then Direwolves take on Order for what will be the first test for the boys of Melbourne. And also top spot up for grabs.
Yeah, 100%. Both those teams are undefeated so far. Order do have that 1-point advantage. And talking about surprising things as well, we have to talk about the Bombers. We will see them later this week, tomorrow. But I think coming into the split, a lot of people would have been expecting a lot of great things out of them, especially given those 2 imports in Tiger and Sleeping coming over, and they've just had a really disappointing start to the split.
So what's gone wrong? I mean, what is it? We've talked about indecision. We've talked about lack of leadership, but this seems to be a pretty veteran roster.
Yep.
I mean, you've been around the traps for a while now. You're a veteran of the scene. If you have to point a finger at something, like, what is there to solve?
I think when teams like this that look on paper that should be good struggle, it is a culmination of many things. So it's very hard to be like, this person is the problem. It's Rosie. It's Seb. It's not one specific thing, but I think you mentioned it when you talk about their lack of cohesion. They're not like proactive, I guess. They're really struggling to make those proactive plays, falling behind. They're never really coming back up onto the map. They're not decisive, and yeah, they just lack those proactive plays to get themselves a win.
All right, have to see if they're able to clean that up. Before we get into today's games, however, Bryce and I both promised you that we're going to get haircuts. We've done it.
We are.
I just want to point out the synergy is there. Because I had a lot of people like, do you guys go together to get your haircuts? I thought you're in Melbourne. I thought Bryce was in Sydney now.
You actually dogged me. We could have got it in Sydney when you flew up, but unfortunately not. Someone actually called you out on Twitter, I remember, saying, like, because you posted your new haircut, and I got mine like a couple of days later. So.
And for those that are wondering, I also had to get my beard trimmed because of our producer. His name is Matthew Bowgen. Just said that my beard was no longer acceptable to be viewed on camera.
Too
so
scraggly.
If you guys wanted the beard to continue to grow out, I had aspirations of a Ragnar Lothbrok-esque beard, but it has all been shattered.
I think
so
you had a really long way to go before you get to that.
Yeah, I know, but I was willing to go the journey, but then it just got cut short. Let's pull up today's first save. It is going to be Avant Gaming taking on Tectonic. Talking about some sweet hairdos. I mean, you got Frey and Pabu versus Tilting.
Yeah.
I'm sure Tilting would be more than willing to go toe-to-toe with them with the luscious sloth.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the length, but AV do have the colours there, the red and the fairy floss pink on that side of the lineup, so looking good.
And I mean, when we have a look at this lineup, I mean, going into the year, you would be very excited about Avant Gaming. However, weeks 1 and 2 were a little bit sloppy. Week 3, a lot better. Tectonic at the same time is a team that really has got to... whole together needs to be so much greater than the sum of their parts if they're going to have any success in the OPL.
Yeah, 100%. On paper, their roster just doesn't seem to stack up with the top teams in the region. But talking about AV, as you mentioned, like weeks 1 and 2 compared to week 3 just looked like a completely different team. They were really decisive in their victory over Legacy. Like one pick basically ended the game for them there in the first game. Pick onto Claire and they just rushed down the Nexus. So.
All right, cool. See whether they have similar success today. But before we break this game down further, let's check in with Laura, who's at the Analyst Hangout.
Thank you very much, guys. Today I'm joined by Aaron Choo Choo's Bland once again. Welcome back. It's great to have you. It's week 4. We've seen quite a few games so far in this split. I have to ask, what has been your favorite so far?
I think the AV Legacy game was pretty interesting, but I would have to say it's the Tectonic Chiefs game last week. I think it showed that Tectonic is not, well, even though they haven't picked up a single win this entire series, I think Tectonic have always shown like a good degree of like skill, and I hope today in their first match against AV that they can show us that they have continued to improve.
Well, as you said, Tectonic are up today against AV. AV are in 4th place, and Tectonic still haven't picked up a win. Yeah. What is your thoughts on this series, though, and who's your prediction going to?
Well, I think Tectonic have always been in a position where they do have, like, in every split that they've been in, they have showed like a good series against a top tier team like Chiefs or Legacy. But then they go into the next week and they tend to crumble. They can't fix those issues in closing out that they've always had. But I think their star mid laner Shock and also Tilting, who has actually impressed me quite a lot. I think that they can potentially pull this upset from those two roles in their bot lane and their mid lane. So I will give this series 2-1 to AV, despite I bet a lot of people will disagree with me with that one because AV did win quite convincingly. Well, not really, because they did 2-0 Legacy, but I still think Tectonic may be able to pull the advantage. I
also think that Avant are going to pick up this game. And even though Tectonic have been pulling out these really fun and diverse team compositions, I still think they're finding their footing in this split so far. So I'm going to give it 2-0 to Avant. But if you would like to make your own tips at home, remember to head on over to opltips.com.au where you can win yourself a $25, $50 or $100 Hungry Jacks voucher. If that's not enough to win you over, there's also some RP prizes and XP boosts up for the taking. For more information on those prizes, make sure you do head on over to our website at opltips.com.au. Our friend Choo Choo's here is also going to be answering your questions once again. So if you have a question for our mid laner, make sure you send them over to our Facebook or Twitter using the hashtag #LikeNoOther, and he will answer them later on. And if your question's picked, you'll earn yourself a nifty mystery skin. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
Yeah, ask me a question.
Well, thank you for your prediction, Choo Choo's. But to get this first series underway, let's hand it back to Jake and Bryce.
Thank you, Laura. It's very cold hanging out in the mountains of New Zealand. I had to do it with one of them, and I was like, this is such a good opportunity that I cannot pass it up.
I'm a big fan of winter, to be honest. Like, I'd much rather like a 0 degrees than a 30 degrees. Right now, it's icy cold in this room, but it's real hot outside.
I was about to say, everyone looks at us every week, and they're like, it's 34 in Sydney or something. Like, honestly, it's like swimming through air at the moment. It is so muggy there. I'm wearing a sweater because in this room, it's 16 degrees Celsius all year round. It's absolutely banging. Getting into this series, I want to touch on something that Choo Choo's mentioned. He kind of mentioned Shock. And Shock is a player that, you know, going up against Frey had a pretty good actual 2017. You would have thought, you know, this is a mismatch. Like, how can you expect Shock to really hold his weight? However, you have a look. The team plays around him. He's playing off meta, and he's doing a very good job of it right now.
Yeah, if they give him priority in the draft, he can pick out the things like the Urgot. We've been harping on it because that was their kind of best-looking, most successful early advantage game. I think they have pretty good kill participation on the side of Shock over Frey. CS per minute looking all right. KDA is a little bit lower there, but and going the other side of the coin, looking at Frey, AV don't play around him at all. If you look at his recent picks, I think he's played 5 out of 6 champions with the Global. That's a lot of Ryze, that's a lot of Galio, so they like to get Frey on something that can wave clear, that can leave his lane, can gank for Parbu or gank for their bot lane.
But it can be a risk because if you're looking at things like Viger, Syndra, Cassiopeia, they're all designed to kill the mid lane. And if you're relying on one of your abilities to help a side lane, something like a Ryze, something like a Galio, it means sometimes your kit lacks damage, which means a 2v2 can swing.
Yeah, not to mention if it's your game plan, like in the AV vs Chiefs series, to just camp Swiper in the top lane, give Parbu that advantage. And then in that game, Ryoma into Frey's Galio, got really big on the Azir, picked up a few kills early, 4-0-0, was just shoving him in. And that game plan can look really rough at that point. Pabu really struggled to get the advantage he needed in the side lane and actually push it further to the victory. So if they do keep doing this to Frey, giving him these globals and not much priority in the mid lane, then you'd like to think that Shock should be able to get a bit of a win there.
Yeah, and speaking about Pabu, he will be going up against Paprise. And these guys are interesting because I feel like Pabu and Paprise at the start of the split were playing the exact same style.
Yep.
You know, melee bruises, split push a lot. But then all of a sudden, Pabu was just an Ornn connoisseur. And he did in the past look his best when he was on things like Maokai, in my opinion. So maybe a call back to home for Pabu. Paprise, however, he's a carry top laner.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Pabu's recent picks. He played double Gnar into Ornn. And then the next weekend, Legacy versus AV series, he picks Ornn into Mimics Gnar twice.
Yep.
So they're obviously very comfortable on both sides of the coin there. And then you look at Tectonic. Paprise playing a lot more carries. He's looked okay. He's played against the likes of Tally, looked all right.
Yep.
And I think when you look at the side of Tectonic, you think about Swathe, Paprise, and Shock on the top side of the map. You don't think that their bot lane is going to be winning them the game, and they tend to play up there.
All right, well, as we are about to get ready into Champion Select, let's take a look at the team's lineup. It's going to be Pabu in the top lane, only with his 6th Jarvan 4 game. Maybe he should rename himself. Maybe not. Frey is their mid laner, Blinky and Jake, Bash Bros down in the bottom lane, and Charlie Wraith is their coach. Of course, they'll be going up against Tectonic today. It's going to be Paprise, their top laner. Swathe is their jungler. A lot of Zac in there. One of the few players actually in the OPL that still does play Zac. Shock is their mid laner. Low is their AD carry. Tilting on support. And of course, Johnny Cyclone Weatherly is their coach. See whether he has anything special cooked up for us today.
Yep, hopefully he does. And I do want to touch on the bot lane once more from Tectonic, because I think Aaron Choo-Choo said it on the couch there with Laurie. Said that they're looking okay and he's actually impressed them. And going back, looking through their games, week 1 is when Tilting picked Karma, and then he just got memed by everyone. He went like 0-7, had an abysmal game, and their bot lane looked honestly absolutely shocking.
Was that against Order?
Yeah, in week 1 of the OPL. But
I mean, and I just want to like continue that point, because I think that if you were going to play ranged, it is either feast or famine, and Order as a team have just shown that they can't bottom lanes. Like, I think that's a rough game to use as a comparison.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, and like Rogue and FBI are the laning duo in the bottom lane there. But in terms of weeks gone by, they've looked increasingly better. They do not tend to pick fairly aggressive lanes, still picking the Janna, the Shen, things like that. But I think they're going more toe-to-toe, and they're within touching distance of these good bottom lanes. Against Chiefs last week, we saw them get the advantage. Labib tried to get himself a dragon, and they get a kill on the bot side, and they're within 10 CS the entire game. And all their lanes are looking fine. But we're into Champ Select now.
Yeah, it's going to be Urgot, as well as Gangplank and Cassiopeia taken off the board. So they just completely agree. They know that Shock and Paprise are the two players you have to target in this ban. It's going to be Azir, Caitlyn, Kalista. So Blinky getting some love down there in the bottom lane. Kalista is Blinky's out-and-out best champion. He is a very good Kalista player. He's also a good Ezreal player. However, the nerfs have hit him. Ryze going to be the first champion picked up for Avant Gaming.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. Both the Galio and the Ryze are still available. So Frey not going to switch up his pool too much so far. Very fine blind pick there, as we see what Tectonic do want to answer with, hopefully. See a Lucian, I'd like that.
You're a big Lucian player at the moment.
Yep. Unfortunately, we get an Ornn instead.
I mean, Ornn at the moment, to me, is in a strange spot, because I was going to say he is such a good flex pick. However, also, if you pick up a Braum, he's a crap flex pick, an S-tier support. So I'm going to say that's going to be an Ornn top lane.
Yep, 100% there. And I guess that is the trend we've been seeing on 8.2. A lot of teams internationally and domestically as well. Playing Ornn more so in the support role than the top side. That Gnar matchup seems to be the most common one and does go into Gnar's favor.
However, we haven't seen the Gnar. It's kind of like the Gangplank point of view. Where we just haven't seen a Gnar punish an Ornn enough that his teamfight is going to be irrelevant. And what we've seen is some pretty big Ornn ultis be able to swing that around. Of course, now that Braum's taken away, also going to be not able to block that one out. Ooh, that is interesting if that is a lock-in of choice. Taric picked up for Jake. He's definitely one of the best Tarics on the server, but Graves a champion that we haven't seen all that much. However, I have seen it in solo queue. Not going to be the case. Kog'Maw picked up.
Kog'Maw locked in. So there's a decent matchup into the Braum so far. You like to say that the stun can go through the Braum shield, so that's the big thing, and we'll be able to keep Kog'Maw alive.
To me, Taric is the only lane that is okay into Braum. I think Braum actually out and out beats every other melee support lane.
Even Tahm Kench?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
that's an opinion.
He's ulti. So the thing is like, if I still think you have kill threat on Tahm Kench.
Yep.
Braum is a very good defensive lane, so if you go a hyper carry, something like a Kog'Maw, something like, I don't know, even like Xayah scales very well into late game. You don't have to kill them, but if you ever bring a jungle down Braum can kill Tahm-Kench just because he has a way to stop the Grey Health. He also has a knock-up, which, you know, on a slow field means that he doesn't spit his AD carry very far.
Not to mention, if you're picking tanks into Braum, there's the off-tanks like Thresh, and you feel like you have to win the matchup. And even things like Ali, you feel like you should be getting early ganks off with that setup. Taric is fine to just kind of chill in the Braum matchup because he scales so well. If you get the tier and then you can get your Kog'Maw Taric through the laning phase unscathed, you're sitting really pretty right now, as we see Varus and Sejuani bans come through as well. Yeah,
Jarvan going to be taken off the board. Not to mention the fact that he's a saucy builder, Mr. Taric. So Ardent Sensor is going to help out a Kog'Maw in the latter stages of the game a lot.
100%. This will be Only's first game not on Jarvan. He's not a Jarvan one-trick, but he's just so happened to play it every single game.
Yeah, if we could get a remake in, that would be great. Just redo draft. He has to play Jarvan. And Tristana taken away. So a lot of AD carry priority being given here. Ezreal is still up and available. Sivir is still up and available. So
Sivir,
there are
played that one.
things. Twitch also up and available. So it's not going to be a brand new AD carry. We've seen all of these things within the OPL already.
Yep, just sort of getting to the bottom of the barrel in terms of tier list here, but they are serviceable.
Is going to play Camille jungle.
Yeah, looks like it, to be honest. That's a blind pick. So they ban away the two S-tier junglers with that Sejuani and the Jarvan as well. They blind pick that Camille jungle, you'd have to think.
Zac is up and available.
I mean, Sweet Zac has looked okay. It's looked good. I think it's looked okay. I think there's he 50-50'd his jungle matchup against the Chiefs for that level 3 gank bot side and then was just not relevant for the entire game. He was looking for these really over-eager engages in the mid side, in the mid lane onto like Raze when he was the only one there. They had no damage. So he's had good games and he's had bad games. That's got to be the Gnar versus Ornn matchup, and they're looking at the Jax.
Yeah, I mean, Jax jungle makes a lot of sense. Jax a counter pick to Camille in the top lane, so why not run it in the jungle position? See what kind of Jax we get. Definitely going to be a Cinder Hulk, but whether we get a Trinity Force early or whether we just see pure tank.
Be interesting. Is they're hovering the Ezreal, and that's the thing, right? A lot of people think about Jax jungle, and from their games, they're like, oh, he's going to go Devour, Bork, Triforce, he's going to do a bunch of damage and split push, but that's not what we see in competitive. We do see the tank Jax takes literally no damage almost from AD sources when he's got that Counter-Strike available, so he's a very window-based champion, and he's very strong in that window, and then just builds Cinder and gets incredibly tanky with base damage as well.
Of course, with press the attack, able to get a little bit of damage if he sticks to a target, can make the AD carry's life a bit miserable. And we have seen out of junglers over, you know, LPL, LCK, that if you get a couple of kills, you get yourself a snowballed Trinity Force. You can still be a threat into the late game. However, Swathe, let's talk about Jungle Camille. Have you watched a lot of games of it?
A fair amount, yeah.
So Warrior Trinity Force Sterix is the build generally that we see?
Yeah, I feel like the most part, yep.
Red Smite, Green Smite, what are we going?
Hit him with the Red Smite, let's get some damage.
Hit him with the Red Smite? Yeah, I agree. I think if you're going to pick something like a Camille, the really only role she plays is backline dive threat. You're going to have a threat on that Kog'Maw, otherwise he's just going to torture.
Yep, but looking on the other side, the Taric does fare very well into a backline dive threat like the Camille. Obviously, the Camille will be able to isolate the Kog'Maw with that Hextech ultimatum 100%, but Taric doesn't need to be next to his AD carry to peel. He can still stun off the Bastion, off the W, can still cast the ulti, so unique sort of soft counter pick there in the bot lane with that Taric into the Camille.
And you'd have to say Avant, again, has got a pretty well-rounded composition. They've got dangerous lanes, they've got good scaling, they've got a legitimate split push threat. At the same time, this is something different out of Tectonic. We haven't seen it before. Something that needs to get earlier advantages, I feel, against the Kog'Maw especially. See whether they're able to make it work.
Yeah, 100%. They do have the Malzahar on shock there, so once they hit level 6, they do have a lot of CC between himself and the jungler there with Swathe and that Camille. Hitting that hook shot into the Mal's ulti, set up a free kill onto Frey. Does not have any cleanse or anything like that, just sitting on the heel.
All right, cool. So as we stream onto Summoner's Rift for game number 1 of Avant versus Tectonic, the first game of OPL Week 4, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. Let's check in with Charlie Wraith, who's alongside with Laura.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing here alongside Charlie. Avant had a very dominant performance last week compared to what we saw in Week 2. What changes happened within the team to bring about this change?
Well, I think Legacy is a weaker team than Chiefs at the moment, so that made it a bit easier. We also had some really good practice going into that week, and we had a very specific strategy that we prepared, so the games were easier.
Tectonic have got Camille coming out in that jungle. What are your thoughts on that pick?
We haven't played against Camille jungle at all, so it's going to be a learning experience for us. It's a very volatile pick, does a lot of damage, but we should be able to control it.
And taking a look at Tectonic's lineup, what's the biggest concern for Avant, and how will you guys be combating it?
Well, yeah, I guess the Camille this game. Swathe is a pretty good jungler coming in as a rookie this split, and he can get some good early ganks off sometimes and cause some havoc, but if we just don't let them play a chaotic style, play nice and structured, we should win.
Well, best of luck with the series, and thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks.
Cool, so they want to play structured League of Legends. I think that's a good aim to go into any game with. We see a couple of minion dematerializers, 2 on the side of Avant, one of them going to be picked up by the Taric, and 2 on the side of Tectonic, with the top laner actually taking it. So trying to match that early push that will come out of Nah.
It's pretty interesting seeing it on a Taric. You see it a lot from champions like the Alistar, especially on supports, right? When you look at Dematerializer. You see it on Ali because he wants to get out of lane and get some roams off. Not so much on a Taric with a Kog'Maw, especially against a lane like Ezreal Braum, which does struggle to push in.
Yep.
So maybe just trying to get a cheeky bit of advantage just because they can't push very well. But, I mean, Taric isn't the best roamer.
No, he certainly isn't. I mean, potentially they think that Swathe is going to try and play towards bottom side of the map. And therefore, if they get pushed in, there's a risk of being dove. Taric at level 6 is one of the best anti-dive supports. But before that, can struggle because the stun is harder to land than you would think in a defensive situation.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
pretty easy in an offensive situation.
If you're being reactive, then if the opponent's coming in, dive you. Camille's pretty mobile. If she's going in for a dive and she just flashes your stun, then there's nothing you can do. You can also chain it with the E as well, so pretty hard there.
Right, so see how this works out. Swathe is heading towards the bottom side of Summon of the Rift right now. We see the shove being achieved by Frey. However,
visions. Oh. Going to get a bit of damage there. Top lane looking fairly grim in terms of the scoreboard right now, but the wave will be building up onto Paprise. Pubby just going to be shoving that one in. You have to think of Swathe is looking at the bot lane. There's no wards behind them.
And maybe this is what happens when you can't shove well enough. Blinky going to be engaged on. That is the stun that we're talking about. Will not hit. Big damage out onto Blinky. And they proc the stun onto Jake as well. So Potions burnt in this bottom lane. And a Kog'Maw that has started with a Doran's Blade now will struggle in this lane.
Yeah, 100%. Burns his only potion. A nice bit of chunk damage there coming in from Tectonic, but they don't burn any summoners on the side of AV, so still have the flashes and the heals available there.
I feel like they could have if they had have wanted to. Tilting had Ignite. If they wanted to try and put a little bit more threat, they would have at least got the heal out.
But the thing is, if you don't kill them, and you probably wouldn't through the Guardian, through the Taric heal and shield, and the Summoner heal as well, they would have done a bit of damage, would have burned a Summoner as well, but Tectonic, Ezreal Braum is a very good all-in lane, and if Kog'Maw has to respect your all-in, then he has to play fairly defensively, right? But if you don't have access to your Ignite, you're like, hey, we're not going to be able to kill them, so Kog'Maw can just sit there and farm, and that's not what you want from Tectonic, so smart stuff out of them, I believe, and they're holding their Summoners there, not committing too hard.
Yeah, I also think that if you're in an Ignite matchup, this is generally speaking, but if you use your Ignite at level 3 and they get to use their Ignite at level 5, most of the time it doesn't end fantastically for you. So I think holding it in this situation is going to be a good thing. Malzahar, with that spellbook, will just go back to lane, pick up a teleport, I expect, for himself, and come back. Hopefully this gets nerfed eventually, but until then,
8.3
teleports everywhere.
Unfortunately, we're not there yet, as we do have the spellbook counter. 2 on the side of AV with Frey and Blinky. Shock just used his on the side of Tectonic to TP back to lane. They do have that one on the top lane on Paprise. Just sitting up there, he's got that Ignite. Just trying to farm up as best he can before he has to recall, but of course he's on, so he's got himself a Sapphire Crystal that he just bought in lane.
Yeah, no, he didn't buy it, he built it.
Yeah.
He doesn't buy stuff.
Oh, I mean...
He's a smith, mate.
Yeah. Okay, crafted it.
Why buy something when you can make it yourself?
Yeah.
That is a John Tiberi way of thinking. I pay, like, if I don't know how to do something, I pay for it. My dad is one of those people that just would... Is your dad a handyman as well?
Yeah,
I feel like he would build
KP's
stuff as well,
probably,
KP.
Yeah, 100%. 100% there. Built cabinets, you know, built the desk. But anyway,
There
back
we
to the
go.
game of League of Legends.
Just awns everywhere in real life.
But
I mean, what do you want to talk about? Nothing is happening
No,
right
I mean,
now.
and that's what we need to talk about. It's a pretty slow start from Tectonic. We've seen 2 different things. We've seen disastrous early games, and we've seen very successful early games where Swathe gets a bunch of ganks off. So this so far, fairly neutral. All the lanes are fairly even right now. You expect Nah to have a bit of a CS advantage onto Paprise because he hasn't TP'd back. And the bot lane, basically even, about a wave up for Shock in the mid lane, but Frey didn't have that TP with his recall just there, so he's going to lose a bit of those minions to the turret.
Yep. You can see that all of Shock's minion dematerializers are gone, so that shove was a little bit artificial, whilst Frey's still maintaining 3 of his. Top lane, there's 1 left and available. Oh, that's a little bit of damage coming out onto Tilting.
Yeah. But you have to think a slow lane phase is going to favour the side of AV. They have that Rise, Kog'Maw, Taric, Jax scaling. So they'll be completely fine with this. In saying that, we're only 6 minutes. The junglers might be clashing here. Level 5 to 4 though, 4 only.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Swathe goes in, does get the electrocute proc out, and a lot of damage, steals away the big raptor.
Even with that level disadvantage, Shock, as we said, had the shove. Only respects the flash ulti, can come out. Nethergrass would have meant a kill onto him there, so he just ward hops over the wall, gets himself out of there, loses his camp.
And you'd have to say at this stage, if you're against a Malzahar's ulti actually coming out of Paprise, goes over his head, gets him, Ignite is down, however now Pabu looking for it, gets knocked up, will fall down. Paprise gets the first blood.
Does he die here? Only's looking for there's a counter-strike. The flash is available. Can he get the Q? He does a bit of damage. Only looking to die. Their turret shot. Just lives there, only trying to get the cleanup kill there. But Pabu looking for the outplay onto Paprise, and Paprise says no.
That is absolutely monstrous. Pabu's going to have the teleport to come back to lane, but it looks like it's in a fine spot. And to get 1v1'd in the counter pick.
Yeah.
This is just not working out.
Yeah, not looking good. Tectonic, 4 members down on the bot side there, but they don't pull the trigger on the dive. AV. Thinking about it, they don't quite have the vision, but there were suspicions. They're backing away from the turret. They're still playing pretty hesitant. But now that Shock shot in the mid lane, they're going to walk back up to the wave.
And I mean, they're at least a wave and a half down. This Ezreal Braum, as we keep saying, is definitely a bigger lane bully lane.
Yep.
However, you would expect Jake and Blinky to be fine in it.
But I mean, like, if you're trading sides of the map there, only going top side because Pabu's trying to win that 1v1, ends up falling down, so they lose both sides of the map. 4 members for Tectonic can just shadow the bot side, so AV, Blinky and Jake have to back off, and Pabu died on the top side, so big advantage for Tectonic right now. The gold lead is basically negligible, but in terms of map pressure,
Frey has no mana, so can't really take only into this gank. However, he will decide to do so. They're trying to go behind Paprise. Teleport is coming in. However, this at best is going to be a 2v3, and it's just cancelled. Paprise falls down, kind of laughs and shakes his head.
Shock tries to save his teammate there, but Swathe is just doing the red buff anyway. No way he was going to get up to that, so they would have lost the 3v2. Paprise unfortunately goes down. 20 CS deficit already.
Yeah, and I mean, that's actually a really nice gank coming out of Frey, because that means that Pabu going to be able to get that minion wave into turret and get another reset. And with a kill, plus a couple of minion waves there, should be able to pick up, you know, at least boots 2, something along those lines. So, very good tempo setter.
Yeah, and if you want a comparison, right, when AV, their bot lane just backed off the turret when they knew the mid laner was missing on the side of Tectonic. They just backed away. Lost a few creeps there, but Paprise doesn't do the same for Tectonic. Frey walks up with his jungler, realm warps him in, they get a free kill. So more of an advantage going over to their side.
And not only was it a free kill, I mean, it cost Tectonic a little bit because they don't have a teleport top lane, so they miss out on big creep waves there. But it also costs the mid lane his secondary summoner, which at this stage, you know, is teleport, but could be something like a ghost if he wants to roam around Summoner's Rift. So have to keep an eye on that. 500 gold is currently the lead for Avant Gaming with superior scaling. However, first shops have come in already. Nothing really out of this world crazy.
Yeah, everything pretty standard. Tarek's gone for the tier again, recurve on the Cogmore Sheen on the Ezreal there. It seems like for now, Swathe, it seems to be his game plan to unlock Shock, right? He's level 8 right now, approaching level 9. Hasn't used his Nethergrass once this game, and that's normally what you see once you hit level 6. You look for an engage with the Malzahar, so they're looking for something. Swathe is trying to unlock his mid laner here, clearing out some vision.
Collapse is coming out, however. Rise is down on that side of the map. They're trying to invade onto red buff. However, is just not working out for them quite yet.
But whilst Only is on that golem camp, on the bottom side of the map, Frey has to play fairly respectfully. If he's in flash range of Shock, he knows he will die to that 2v1 combo. So much CC between the Camille and the Malzahar here. So he's looking.
Actually just starts it up. I mean, you can see already that Rise is still in mid lane, so they're going to look to steal this one away. Only is higher level, so has a stronger smite, however, can just get flash. Ultied, so we'll give it up.
Didn't see Shock there, had no vision. Nethergrass, of course, is still up, so backs away from that one, doesn't try to contest despite the level advantage here. So fairly patient play from both teams here.
However, it's so interesting to see a game go this long without Flash Ultimate coming out, and they look like they're going to go for it, but nothing really happening here. Malzahar is kind of good for that level 6 kill, and it's level 9, and they still haven't picked it up.
And I mean, this is what we've been critiquing Tectonic for overall, I think. Mind you, we're only 10 minutes into the game, and we kind of get to this point at 40 minutes where they've stalled, they've scaled, and they're like, okay, we're looking at it, we're like, we need you guys to pull the trigger. Like, you have to win this game with a proactive play, and it doesn't come. So now we're 11 minutes into the game. They have the tools, but they haven't been able to find the opportunity just yet.
For sure. And I mean, when will it come? They've got an Ezreal. He's probably going to get to 2 items relatively quickly into this game, so potentially can look there. Malzahar is kind of like not item dependent at all. That's not going to spot. What the heck?
Very close there.
Swaith is a genius.
Nice ward out of Babu, but unfortunately Swaith skirts around the edge. Yeah, he must have seen him on the backside, when he walked up to that middle bush, unfortunately. So close. If he walked a little bit further, if he had the opportunity there, could have got in unseen, but won't be able to find his gank opportunity on the top side. As Pabu's playing very respectfully behind his turret.
Yeah, I mean, Pabu just going to throw a boomerang into the brush, you would think. If he cancels that back, it would be even worse for Swaith. Does not, and that's going to be a dragon started up.
Okay, no Swaith is on the top side, so the numbers mismatch. Only will be able to solo this one out. But honestly, Earth Drake, Mountain Drake is one of the hardest to solo earlier in the game. It's so tanky comparative to the other ones. But we'll give them a lot of bonuses in terms of rushing down the Baron. They do have the Cogmore and the Rise, so with this Earth Drake as well, later on into the game, it does become a bit of a threat.
Yeah, it certainly does. So at this stage of the game, 200 gold, a dragon. Nothing really in between these teams. Earth Dragon will give them good control as the game progresses, but no real combat stats that they will be able to pin their hat on at this stage of the game.
I mean, not to mention we're 12 minutes into the game and not a single stopwatch has been popped by any player so far. So fairly safe, and the opportunities will come few and far between with those cooldowns still available. Swaith stealing away the Raptors.
And I mean, this kind of plays exactly into what AV said that they wanted to do. They said they wanted to play a controlled style of League of Legends, that they feel if there are no variables in this one, that they are the better team. As we see Swaith go over the wall, finds only, that's a level 7 to a level 8, and a lot of damage going to come out of the Jax.
TP coming out from Paprise here.
Yeah, actually, this is a big play. Everyone's coming down here. You can see Malzahar already on the roam down as well. That's going to be the ultimate. It hits Blinky, and Swaith is on the back line. Huge knock-up out of Paprise. Will mean that multiple members are going down, but Pabu turns that fight. 3-man Gnar ultimate. But Paprise is just way too tanky at this stage of the game. You can see Shock is and Paprise will finally fall down. Double kill for the top laner. And in the end, looks like it's going to be a 3-for-1.
And the initial engage out of Tectonic looked okay, but the carries just weren't there yet. Low, as Shock's going to have to flash over the wall. He'll be completely fine here, but Low couldn't walk through the turret. There were no minions, and Shock was still coming from mid. Didn't burn the TP, he just flashed over the wall to get in there, so...
I mean, Shock still hasn't used his ultimate once this game. I don't mean to sound critical of the man, but I said he was their star player, and he needs to have a big performance this week. And I feel like that's the cardinal sin of Malzahar, not forcing with ultimate. He's level 11 at the moment.
But I mean, like, that wasn't his fault.
I mean,
his team forced way too early here. He does, but there's no ward available. Right? Actually, no, there is the one that Paprise TPs to. So
both
on
of
the start
right
of his
now.
only looks in. But he's already halfway here, so he feels like he doesn't want to burn it. But look at the carries right now. Ezreal and Malzahar are sitting in the tri-bush while the big bulk of this CC and damage comes out for AV. So they finally get here as Ryze is realm mobbing into the top, but it's just too little too late. Another round of CC comes out from Paprise, but Shock sitting on basically no mana. Auto-attacking people as a Malzahar, going to do absolutely nothing, and they all eventually fall down. And AV pick up a bunch of kills.
Yeah, I mean, that was the big thing for me, is they forced when blue buff wasn't on Malzahar. So you saw that even though he got there, he used one complete rotation of spells, not including ultimate, and had nothing left available in the tank. So we'll see whether they can get a little bit more of that coordination going, because that cost them about a 1,500 gold swing. And now, Pabu in the top lane, 3-1-1.
Yep.
Probably going towards what will be a frozen mallet, you would have to expect.
Yep, finally got that cleaver, so this is the hardest part of the matchup into Ornn. You start bullying him around, treading those resists, as he's got the frozen fist, the Iceborne gauntlet onto Paprise there. 3 members on the top side of the map for AV, and Swaith is on the bottom, so Paprise very respectfully backing off the turret, going to give that one up for free.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're just giving control everywhere right now. Bottom lane, not really in a position to be able to dive.
But I mean, that is on part of AV, right? They are giving it up here. They do know. So they are just swapping. Going to wait one more wave until they can actually force this one. But the Rift Herald's going to be
straight away. So they're going to ult the wave here out of Paprise to try and keep it off the turret. However, one charge from the Herald will get rid of it. Frey is in here, of course. You're not unstoppable anymore. Flash forward into the Gnar. Counter-Strike layered masterfully, and he will fall down. This will be the 2-for-1 turret trade as well. AV, decisive plays.
That's a nice CC chain. Paprise no flash to get him out of there, so He will fall down, and AV's bot lane rotate up. They know they can't defend. Here's another fight.
Yeah, certainly is, and they split the targets. That means no one is going to die, boys. Inside the Taric ultimate, Blinky is just doing so much damage and will take down Sway, and Shock can't get a response kill at all.
Camille, Swaith just goes off the Taric there. As you say, they split the damage. Nobody falls down. Jake gets very low, but unfortunately, nothing picked up for Tectonic. 2 for 1 in a turret trade with the Rift Herald on the top, and they don't get that engage in the mid.
That is just confusing League of Legends. I mean, maybe Taric is the correct call to go on to, but you would like to see both members of your team make the wrong call than have split calls coming across.
Yep. The idea would be Nether Grasp onto Taric before he can pop that ulti.
Yep.
And then if you can burn him down, you will be able to kill the Cogmore if he hasn't dealt enough damage on the backside of that. But obviously, Shock and Swait have different ideas on how to play the 2v2. That's a VOD review for later. Cyclone will be writing that one down as the gold lead extends to about 3,000 gold.
And I mean, when you have a look at it, it's 3,000 gold, 50 CS and 3 kills are on Pabu right now. He's a monster.
Yep.
And across the rest of the map, I mean, actually, it's just Pabu and only carrying majority of this lead right now.
Yeah, 100%. So there's a bit of a CS discrepancy in the bot side of the map. Low is up 50 CS, so out of the bot lane that everyone's been hyper-critical of, I think they are performing well this game. In a fairly neutral matchup, there's been no kills,
although
not a whole lot of action.
He
but
has gone Trinity Force.
Yep.
Which is an interesting build.
Especially given there is a Jax and a Cogmore on the other team as well.
Yeah, Iceborne Gauntlet at the moment seems to just have so much more utility, and you need to be a bit tanky as Ezreal. He hasn't got the longest range in the game.
Yep. So they are pressuring onto this top side of the map. Only is up here as well defending, and Slate is trotting on over, but there will be a ward. He's going to have to sweep out there. Walking into the top side of the map, Shock is floating with his spellbook. He's swapped out his TP. He's got that ghost, so looking to try and push this one in and then float to the top side of the map. Both teams are looking up here.
But again, Shock just does not have mana, really. He's sitting on 50% mana bar at the moment.
Oh, that's
got a couple of spell rotations.
I mean, that's...
He leveled up as I was saying it,
Yep.
and he has a Morellonomicon. You calm down, Mr. Paul, as they go over the wall onto Jake. See whether they can get the ulti out this time. They do blow him up, and now Blinky is in big trouble. You can see chasing him away. That silence field missed. Teleport means that Frey is under the turret. Actually has to stopwatch, get the heck out of dodge. Big swing right now for Tectonic.
Huge play out of Tectonic there. Jake did not have access to the ultimate, was CC'd, so he couldn't use that one. That's going to be another turret picked up by them, evening out that turret trade 2 for 2 across the map right now.
And both Paprise and Pabu channel teleports there in front of each other, and then both of them respectfully cancelled. And you can see that this is what we've said about Ornn. You shove him in, but for a brick wall, he has surprising amount of wave clear.
Yeah, he's a pretty hefty brick wall. Only's going to solo out another dragon, but yeah, the Oceanic special into this Nah vs Ornn matchup. This will be the 3rd game for Pabu in this very specific one. Can he do enough? Last 2 were versus Swiper, and then he couldn't, so yeah. Potentially a repeat performance here.
And you would say this game is following a pretty strange trajectory. Only going to get engaged on, has to flash. Had no wards available.
Yep, unfortunately not. Couldn't Q hop over the wall there. Has to burn the flash. Just looking for a reset, but he's going to take a golem camp on his exit now. Tectonic looking around the mid lane, just swapping those lanes up. AV deployed their bot lane to the top side of the map, so Tectonic were down the bottom. They flip it up. They just want to catch that wave, grab himself a red buff along the way.
And we are going to have a Trinity Force user in Swathe versus a full tank only. He's looking like he's going to go with an adaptive helm.
As he does pick that one up just then.
And right now, Low is probably as strong as he's going to get. He has a transform to come in a couple of minutes. Hopefully he gets that by about 23 minutes time if you're a Tectonic fan. But after that, he's just not going to really be able to go toe-to-toe with Blinky's Cogmore.
And I was talking to you about this before show, actually, and I think Cogmore is most effective with that shield support. And that sounds like something negligible to say. You're like, oh, of course, hyperscaling AD carry if you give him a shield. But it's about the proactivity of it. If you have the heal and the shield onto Jake that you can put onto Blinky, it means every time Blinky's W is up, he will win the auto trade with the Ezreal Frey. No stopwatch.
They're actually able to stun him out of it. He uses his flash, he uses the ultimate, and he falls down.
He goes for the outplay, but how's he going to win anyway? He's on 20% HP. The ulti still hits by tilting, and that's another pick, and they're going to get topside control.
And they actually might get Baron. I mean, right now, they've got themselves a Malzahar. They've got a very strong Ezreal. Braum can tank this for days, and it doesn't look like AV know anything about this.
Yeah, they were looking at the pick onto Pacquiao in the mid lane. He's just playing defense right now.
5,000 damage. Ornn ulti will come out looking for the knockup. Hits both of them. Can they even get here in time? They just do it so damn quickly. And that will be Baron across for Tectonic.
And one pick from the bot lane of Tectonic ends up in a Baron, evening out the gold lead within 500 gold of each other right now. Two turrets to two. This is a big advantage for Tectonic.
That is a bold call. I mean, you've got yourself a Kog'Maw and a Taric. The ultimate goes down. Kog'Maw can just sit there and unload on everyone. However, they say, we do it quick enough. The Voidlings will be able to tank it up. And at this stage of the game, to have Baron, no one can deal with these minions.
Yeah, 100%. This mid lane outer should go down with ease on the side of Tectonic. AV shouldn't be able to defend that one, but if you look at the dive potential coming out of Tectonic, there's so many flashes available for every member. You have that flash Malzahar ulti, you have Braum can get in there. Camille as well on. There's so many tools to dive with, so Tectonic see what they can get with this Baron.
And I feel sorry for Parbu, because this is another game that looks like it was just going to shape into a 1-3-1, so he's not built for teamfight at all. So he has no QSS, has no magic resistance. If he ever looks for an engage, he's just going to get ultied by Malzahar, and they're going to kill him in no time at all.
100%. That's always been the soft counter pick. Malzahar is Gnar. Most of his engages come from that double jump off an ally or a minion to try and get into the backline. But when you get denied whilst you're mid-air, you're just so easy to take down. You combo that with a Braum passive. Eventually, your engage potential just hits the floor. You don't do any damage. Really rough for him. So he's got to try and get work done on the side lane. Does have about a 60 CS lead, but with this Baron, it's going to be very hard for AV to hold the 4.
And I mean, gold is only, CS is only important for gold. And you can see that right now, cheap item build coming out of Paprise. He's also on 2 items, one of which is a War Ult. So the split, does he really lose it? I would argue no now with Super Creeps.
I mean, yeah, absolutely not with the Baron minions. Probably trying to play 1v7 in the side lane, not going to win that one. They've actually put Swathe in the top side of the map. Jungle split push right now. The Solar Q special coming out from him. They just want to push all 3 waves in. Frey is looking to go top side to match.
And I mean, you can see the melee creeps putting up a little bit of a fight at this stage of the game. Bottom lane turret taking a little bit of damage, and I think the reason they've done this is because Swaith's rotation through the jungle is actually pretty quick versus something like a Malzahar. And you see Parbu actually going onto Paprise. They're going to bring multiple members down here.
Does he get out?
Good knock up there with the flash, and he is just going to stroll away if you do not mind, Bryce.
And that's a big deal coming out of Parbu. He does not have access to the ulti now, so the engage out of AV. Oh, that was a nice stun to cancel the Nethergrass.
Certainly was, and all of a sudden they're going to look to continue to fight, because even though they cancel it, still is not enough. Mid lane turret goes down, only jumping now onto tilting. However, it looks like that is all she wrote as far as that team fight is concerned, and Tectonic are still winning them.
Still a 4v5, but can they pressure any more? The Baron, about a quarter left or just under right now, so Tectonic will back away into the bot side jungle. They get themselves a couple of turrets and a kill, and the gold lead now in their favor, about 1.2 up.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you can see big side waves there. Parbu is backing where Award was. So a little bit risky, however, everyone will just go for the hard reset. And still Swathe, I thought he was going to go grab that top lane wave. I was like, still they're just feeding him creeps.
Yeah, he's behind. He's down 10 CS. That's unacceptable in the jungle matchup. He wants those lane minions to buff up his CS numbers there, but doesn't. Next Dragon is spawning in about 45 seconds, so you assume that'll be the next port of call. But we do see that pick up there. Shock, nice Nethergrasp onto Taric, but unfortunately the Dazzle cancels it. But Taric sitting on a tier, not much resist to his name here, so he eventually falls down. The turret falls as well. But without the engage tools on either side, really, it's a bit of a stalemate despite the numbers disadvantage for Tectonic.
But I mean, that's a fizzle, but it's a fizzle after both mid lane turrets went down and a pick went across. So at this stage of the game, when they got a pick, took a Baron, when they were behind a couple of thousand gold, to now be up a couple of thousand gold, with a comp that needed to come online, you would have to say that Tectonic has probably saved this game from being a little bit disastrous.
Not to mention the 2 turrets that they got were in the mid lane, and they have a Malzahar, so being able to push that one in, if you bring members, you bring Swathe, you bring tilting, let Shock push that in, then you can access the side lanes. When AV set up this 1-3-1, they want to be putting Parbu and Frey in both side lanes. They're just holding with the 3, but without those turrets to fall back on, AV have to play so defensively, so far back towards their base. It just gives Tectonic the map control. They're looking here.
And Low is massive. He's got himself a Bork, as well as that upgrade, they're actually looking to fight. You can
Red
see
buff.
the damage is there. They're going to be able to continue. And Swathe is now on the back line. Actually isolates Blinky out of the Taric ultimate. Big knockup goes across. Blinky is dead. 2 members fall down. Swathe will join him. However, now the fight continues. Pabu, big Gnar into the wall. You can see Jake going forward. Huge knockups, but they just do not have the damage to continue this fight. Pabu will jump over the wall, however, fall down eventually to low, and that is a 4-for-1.
Absolutely. They don't even lose. Oh, they do lose the one in Swathe, but the Nethergrass off screen onto Frey means that he didn't do any damage, so both carries on the side of AV die immediately in that fight. Pabu, nice engage, but as you said, what can they do? There's no one alive to do damage. Only is a Cinderhulk Jax. Has nothing there. So eventually, they're just going to push down this mid lane. They're going to get the inhib.
Yeah, exactly right. Middle lane inhib at this stage of the game will fall down. And Tectonic have just hit the accelerator in this game. They're now 4,000 gold up. Will take away the bottom side jungle and a red buff on the exit. Baron is still a minute away, so they will not be punished for the slow return. And this is a completely different beast.
Yeah, we see this one again. The Q's landing from low here onto Pabu means they can actually chase him down. The ulti from tilting gets out. They're looking for Pabu, and we saw Blinky die in this one, but I want to see Frey right now get silenced immediately and gets ultied. He burnt the QSS early, meaning both carries just immediately eat him. And then Paprise had a nice 4-man knock-up on the backside of that. Pabu looks good, but doesn't look down low. They just can't do anything. Taric, Jax, full tank Jax, and a Gnar aren't going to be able to do anything in that 4v3, so unfortunately they just fall down.
And I mean, I think that's a misplay from Jake, because I think that as soon as someone can knock like whoever the other Bastion target is away from the Cogmore, the ulti just has to be on Cogmore.
Yep.
But you could see that Blinky's trying to get inside it, and then all of a sudden, Hextech Ultimate Maiden comes out. He's like, all right, well, now I'm just by myself. I don't have the invulnerability. And that's only burning his ultimate.
And I mean, not to mention Swathe on that engage. He died for it, but...
Hey, worth.
Yeah, when that Taric ulti comes down and he just goes onto Cogmore, it means all the members of AV just kite away from Tectonic. They get a free pick onto Frey. They get that numbers advantage. Baron is up in 10 seconds. They do have Flash Nethergrasp available for Shock, so can they get another pick and look for this?
They also just have some fantastic vision control.
Yep.
So they might be able to burn it. You can see it will come out of the ground right now.
A lot of pings from AV, they know.
Do not start it up just yet.
They're going to clash. AV tentatively checking there. Q comes out from Pabu.
Pabu's about to be exhausted.
Yep.
So if ever there is a time to just flash ulti, the Gnar could potentially be right about now.
All the carries have flashes right now. Blinky, Frey, Shock, and Low, so very hard to get onto them. There's a couple of QSSs on the side of AV as well. Tilting's looking, Shock's looking as well.
Yeah, no one goes over the wall, so they're not willing to hard engage here. AV is split. Pabu still just looking to build that Gnar bar. Access to midwave has been denied by AV. However, Baron has been started up.
The side lane's not looking pretty for Tectonic. AV aren't a too much threat there, but Paprise has pulled the trigger.
Yeah, he wants to fight.
Ram
Gets
lands.
another big double knockup. This one will go into Jake. He's dead. Ultimate is out right now into Only, however, cannot get over that wall. And this is a whitewash. Huge ultimate coming out of Pabu, looking to turn this fight around. Shock flashing forward, but Frey is pumping out the damage. Low on the back end, will get stunned up as well, and that will be Ezreal falling. They're chasing Swathe, and a shutdown across. That is a 3-for-2. But AV win the fight.
And that choke was just so big for AV. The counter-strike, the AoE from Ryze, not to mention the engage, the counter-engage from Pabu means they kill both carries from Tectonic. That engage looked good.
Yeah,
on the front side of that, Jake dies immediately.
Look to do the Baron. Only has got such low health.
Yeah.
Pabu will come in. I don't think they can do this.
Pabu's full HP. If he tanks it up, then Only doesn't need to. He's playing pretty safe right now. He's got a bit of regen there. Paprise knows.
Full health on. About to come around the back. If he kills Only, then that is just a steal waiting to happen. Instead, they try and chase now onto Paprise. Will be able to pick up a kill, it looks like, onto the top laner. However, he gets Only, and now he's actually staying alive for such a long time. Frey might fall down here. Flash not available out of Swathe, and he will just continue to be kited out. Hookshot actually hits Pabu, so a double kill for the top laner of Avant.
Looks for the outplay on the side of Swathe, but unfortunately, hits the mini Gnar of Pabu. Can't get himself onto Frey, so he lives, but the never-ending fight strikes once again. AV take a look at the Baron, but they don't get it here as the map sort of resets right now. 2k gold between these two. And just take a look at this engage once again. The ulti comes out, hits Jake, and he dies almost immediately. But we're looking at this choke. Nethergrass used very early onto Only, and he doesn't die immediately. That counter-strike's still available. So the carries of AV, Blinky and Frey are just pumping out so much damage. Pabu comes in here, gets that engaged, and the carries for Tectonic are just so low that the Cogmore passive even blows up with that CC. They try and chase down a few kills, but can't get any more.
And I feel like Low and Shock just overcommitted for Blinky there.
Yep.
Once the ultimate came through from Pabu, they could have still looked to fight a little bit front to back. However, flashing over the wall, both Garys looking for the Cogmore. They got him, but Frey was the real threat in the end.
And you have to question the Nether Grasp onto the full tank Jax with Counter-Strike still available.
Yep.
He's got a Randuin's and an Adaptive Helm and a Cinderhulk. He does no damage, but all he has is tank stats, and they burn that one at the start of the fight, and they don't even take him down immediately. Just means that Blinky and Frey just have so much freedom in that fight. If they do overcommit like that, and they have that Nether Grasp available, then
Shock's being
potentially
caught out. Nothing he can do, gets blown up, and that could just be the Baron for Avant.
Do Tectonic contest?
I know.
No. They're looking. They're going back and forth, sort of happy feeding in the river right now. They do have an Ezreal. He's good at contesting.
Certainly is. Can look to just poke them off here. 3,000 health. Sway can't get into the pit. Baron will fall down. That will be the ulti onto 4 members. However, nothing really happening on the back end. Jake potentially separated from his team, looking to get stunned up. Onto the back line goes Swathy. You can see now they're peeling front to back. Gets a Hectep ultimatum onto Blinky. However, Frey still pumping out the damage. And Tectonic, they just have to run. There is absolutely nothing they can do in this fight. You can see that in the front line only is just way too tanky. Now getting chunked out.
Everyone's
Members of AV
so
very low. Jake goes down. In goes low forward onto Frey. He will fall. And the Ezreal gets a shutdown.
AV get the Baron, but they lose 2 members there. Jake and Frake fall down low. Is looking for more. He's chasing Blinky.
Yeah, actually just wants to chase him back to his base. And I can't believe that in what was a genuine 3v5, that Tectonic's still able to just slow play that one.
Yeah, Ezreal kiting so hard there. They are contesting his inhib at the moment right now. Tilting comes low.
Oh, that is a lot of damage right now. Flashing forward. You can see they wanted able to pick up Tilting, and that's a overcommit that's been punished. Now Paprise still looking for Pabu.
Just overreaching there for the inhib. Baron still on the side of AV, so they have those extra minions. Harder to get through onto the inhib. Low, poking his head around the bottom of the bot side jungle, but he's just going to have to back away. Damn, these fights are so back and forth. The gold lead within 200 right now. Only's looking at a cheeky dragon, but he backs off.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of times he's actually been caught in that dragon pit. I think he should
he's learned his lesson. He gets out early.
He should just stick with his team a little bit there. I do want to point out the fact that Ezreal has legitimately 5-ish full damage items, 4 full damage items, I guess, versus Cogmore. So he's a full damage item ahead. So even though you would expect Cogmore at this stage of the game to start taking over, Low is still damage per minute, absolutely whooping his bum.
But how does Blinky do damage in a fight where Swathe is just suicide diving onto him? He's just getting that Hextech ultimatum, isolating him from his team, so Blinky has to hit Swathe, and he's fine to make that trade. If Blinky's hitting only him, and then Tilting can defend Low and Shock, and they can do more damage to the front line, then Tectonic have a chance at winning these fights, and that's how they have been doing it. But now AV with the Baron, they do have the proactive setup. They're pushing in all the waves.
Oh, they actually hard engage onto Pabu, who goes forward, uses the ultimate already onto the full tank. So that will be Paprise falling down. Ultimate this time onto Blinky will be all of the members of Avant right now invulnerable. Disengage coming across. Tilting has already used the ultimate, so that should be the mid lane turret falling down.
Pabu super low right now, but it will be a 4v4. Paprise is dead. Can they get this mid lane in it? They're looking. Just 2 people defending on the side of Tectonic, Low and Tilting, but against the Baron creeps, you have to think they can't.
They actually hard engage onto Tilting. Door goes up, but he falls down. And AV are just punishing tiny mistakes right now out of Tectonic.
These very slight overreaches from Tectonic time and time again means they lose more and more. AV looking to get onto Shock there. Pabu didn't get the double jump, and that's going to be an inhib. In response, oh, do they? Yep,
they need to actually be careful right now because look at the wards, and Paprise wants to TP. You can see Snare goes out onto Low. 1 second on Paprise, will be exiting over a pink ward, but you would think that that is too far away.
Yep, well, Blinky gets left behind this time instead of Jake, but you think that, right? That Ezreal's such a good chase champion. He can chase them out of the base, can perpetually slow them, but because he's going for the Triforce, without the red buff, doesn't have a lot of sticking power, so Paprise would have been TPing in alone. Doesn't decide to. Smart call there.
And this game, 35 minutes in, AV said, you know, that they just think that if they play this one nice and slow, that it should be easy.
It's not easy.
Certainly does not look easy right now.
Absolutely not. They do have all the dragons. Unfortunately for them, that's double air. Gold lead about 4,000. It was so even. The gold lead has been so even, and then just spiking a couple of thousand. Tectonic's way, then AV's way.
So you can see right now that the gold is still just on the full tank Jax and on Pabu in the top lane, who has been busy with his Gnar ultimates. However, there's still only so much Gnar can do. At a certain point, the Ryze and the Kog'Maw have to kill people, and unfortunately, Ezreal is just doing that better. You can see that Blinky has actually gone with the Frozen Mallet. I haven't seen that for a long time on
Yeah,
Kog.
we see it here and there. Kog'Maw, because he does so much damage, he can just opt in for a fairly safe build. Gives him a bit more health there to play with. Gives him some chase potential. All he has is that E, so if he can slow in his autos as well, that's a big deal. He has switched his heal up for that barrier, so going more selfish, but will be a bigger heal for him. Well, not a heal, a shield, rather.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, because I still feel like Ezreal, with this build that's coming out of Kog'Maw, will be doing more damage. If he can keep the attack speed uptime there.
It just depends. It 100% depends, and this game has largely come down to teamfight execution. So Tectonic overreach in a fight, AV wipes the floor with them. AV get picked off, Frey dies early, then Tectonic wipe the floor with them. So it's just coming down to these team fights. And if Blinky can be hitting, as Swayth is looking for something,
Yeah,
that's a flash
out of Blinky.
Yeah.
And only is a split-pushing Jax right now.
Full tank.
I wonder if they're going to send the split-pushing Camille to deal with the split-pushing jungle Jax.
AV are shadowing them through the jungle right now. Frey looking to help out his jungler in only, just walking through the bot side. Baron is up in the next minute and a half here, so that'll be the next big fight coming out.
All right, let's take a look at the items. Death caps picked up for both mid laners. Unrivaled in terms of damage in this game, given the fact that we've got an Ezreal and a little bit of a tanky Kog'Maw coming out. Adaptive Helm picked up for
everywhere.
both Pabu and only.
And on the other side, and Swayth and Vaprise as well. Everyone's just matching items right now. Low, still looking pretty big.
Actually, this game, if you're Tectonic, you probably think, if we just stall this out to the point where Ryze has to sell his QSS, and Kog'Maw with this build, honestly, does not want the AD that is going to be, or the lifesteal. Honestly, he doesn't use either of them well, because he's just gone completely on hit, no AD whatsoever to benefit from those stats. I think that the QSSs and the Malzahar pick could be very big in item builds at the end of this game.
Potentially. Tectonic do opt in for a recall. There's about 20 seconds, 30 seconds until Baron spawns. They have no control around the pit. Pabu is on the bot side, though, whereas Vaprise has grouped right now. And Jax only did a bit of damage to that bot side inhib turret, so if only does get access.
They're going to give blue buff over to low. That will take him to 40% cooldown reduction. You can see right there. He's sitting on 6 items. He's got a Lord Dominic's regard. He is a big boy right now.
Yep, that'll be the biggest he'll get for the rest of the game, unless he sells his boots, I guess. But Ezreal, very mobile. Potentially doesn't want to do that one. They do clear out that ward. There's just going to be a contest for the vision. And last time we saw a team fight in this choke, AV won. They have that AoE from the Ryze that can hit so many members. Have that Taric ulti. It's so easy to land on multiple people when you're in a small space. So,
upgraded Locket. Also available right now for tilting. So, Ornn potentially could become a factor here. As you mentioned, started. They do it very quickly. Split engage coming out. You can see that will be the ulti across from Vaprise. Actually throws it at Frey, and they're going to take down the mid laner before anyone else is even there. Pabu goes in and just gets ulti straight away. No Gnar ultimate coming across. That's the shutdown, and Low wants everyone else. Instead, Tectonic go back to Baron.
And that's 2 dead for AV. They have to slump away. They're looking to push up the mid lane, but this Baron recall, only 4 seconds. They're not going to be able to do anything. They might look for the bot side jungle, just try and take some semblance of control.
But there's nothing up and available. Dragon still a minute 30 away. That will be the Elder. And you can see that now Tectonic have 30 seconds to take the waves wherever they want them. Maybe re-break that mid inhibitor. Or just set up for Elder Drake. Because right now, when they get a slow team fight, they win.
And the engage range coming out of Tectonic. Swayth there closed so much distance onto Frey. He even burnt the flash, but because that Hextech Elder made him lock himself down, Shock didn't have to burn his. They still got onto him.
And Only's gone into a side lane, and Swayth's gone over the wall. They're going to burn the ultimate one more time. Double knockup will be there. However, you can see Kog'Maw trying to come into this fight. Ryze is still in base.
Frey and Pabu just spawned.
2 key ultimates used for Tectonic here.
Yeah,
they are a quarter off cooldown.
Lowe's also in the mid lane there. Frey's about to see him, so potentially they could look for something, but no. Tectonic just back off. They take the turret, and they might just look for the Elder Drake right now. 30 seconds up. They just want to hold them around mid. This inhibit is exposed.
Yeah, these Qs still do some pretty good damage out of low. And he is elusive enough from the movement speed and the E, flash, everything else that's in Ezreal's kit. Has he also got an Iron Elixir? Because he looks real tall. Yeah,
I think he does. You can see the trail. You can see it coming out of both of them, actually. Tilting has one as well. That gives, not a lot of people know, it gives your allies extra move speed when they're running towards you. So a remnant, what was the item? Was it Alicia's Miracle or something like that?
Pabu potentially caught out again, it looks like. Will fall down with Baron. This is huge. Flash forward, double, triple knock up out of Paprise. Ultimate will come across, but isn't enough because Blinky is just falling so low and he will die in that Hextech ultimatum. Now Jake has been wiped off the map. 3 dead for Avant, and Tectonic looking to push for their first win.
Charlie said all AV had to do was play controlled, but this is not controlled League of Legends. Pabu gets picked off. Frey gets picked off in these fights. Tectonic with the Baron, they're going to take the win.
And it's only and Frey left up and available, and they are not yet back in base. Nexus turret 1 will fall. Nexus turret number 2 will fall. With the New Zealand background, the Tectonic crew will pick up the first victory of OPL 2018.
Damn. Out of all the 0-3 teams currently in the league, the Bombers, Sin, and Tectonic, coming into today, they get the victory over AV.
I don't think anyone would have called that as well. After AV's resounding victory over Legacy last week to now come in and, I mean, honestly, across the board, get outplayed nearly. That is a massive statement game for the Tectonic lineup.
Yeah, 100%. And they look cohesive. In those engages, you see Tilting flashing forward with the Ornran coming through as well. They just look like they're on the same page finally after weeks of criticism from basically everyone. And AV coming off a 2-0 and Legacy coming in hot to this match and then to just get blasted.
Yeah, and I mean, Shock looked good, but Low was actually the carry to look out for. And Papra, someone that we've been, you know, happy with, but not ecstatic, actually played probably the best Ornn game of the season so far.
100%. He was staving off ganks and dives here and there, was living. We saw that one on the bot side as well. 2 members only comes down. He just walks away and gets themselves a mid-inner as well. Multiple times that kept happening. AV kept looking for a play and it didn't quite work and Tectonic would punish it, or AV be looking for a team fight. Tectonic is setting up around the Baron, but Frey gets picked. Just so many micro things from actually both sides even. When you look at the team fight execution in the mid game, before we got to that later stage, Tectonic overextend into a fight, then they get punished. AV do the same thing and they get punished. Eventually, AV do it one too many times and they lose the game though.
But from Tectonic side, you can understand it. This is a young lineup. They don't really have veteran shot callers. They would have been thinking, we're strong, we can fight now. They force too hard. However, you look at Avant's lineup and there are veterans across the board there. People that played League of Legends for quite a while, and they look like they were getting hyphy at certain points of the game. Pabu continually face-checking. People like Frey making uncharacteristic mistakes.
Yeah, 100%. We did mention that Malzahar into Pabu's now.
Yep.
And it came into fruition twice. Yeah, 100%. It's so hard, especially if you're like in Mini, you feel completely useless. And then even in Mega, it just percentage HP drain. You just get absolutely one-shot. We saw that he almost died off-screen. We didn't quite catch us that they were setting up around the Elder.
Yep.
And that was such a quick engage, such a quick finish to the game, rather.
And that's the right thing to do. Get access to mid-wave. Try and enter with your take first. Unfortunately, it gets blown up, and Tectonic pick up their first game. And Choo Choo's has got the biggest grin on his face I've seen out of anyone, because I think he called it. He's alongside with Laura.
Yes, you're right. Choo Choo's did call it. Tectonic picking up their very first win of the split. I have to say, the Tectonic squad were cheering so loudly in their room. They're very ecstatic with that win. I mean, Cyclone strikes again with the unique pick, grabbing that Camille in the jungle. It's something we've seen in the LCK quite a bit, but you at first thought it was a bit greedy from them.
It was definitely strange. I will talk about the draft. They did ban 2 junglers in the second rotation of bans. They banned Sejuani and the Jarvan. I was thinking that you picked the Ornn, you want to take away Gnar, which is a good pick into that matchup, but they decide to ban the Jarvan. So they give away Gnar over to AV, but they take the Camille, and that must be because they put a large priority on this Camille pick. And just to further talk about Camille, is the bot lane of Tectonic leashed very hard, and they got to lane very late. So this bot lane for AV was given a lot of room, but I think Swathe did play the early game all right. He came down bot, got a good chunk, and there was about a 20 CS deficit in that bot lane. So I am a fan of the Kimura pick.
I want to revisit the early fight in that bot lane. Tectonic seemed to mis-execute the fight down there. What went wrong for them?
So Tectonic, well, straight off the bat, Swaith disrespects only and uses his E to jump over the wall and gets chunked to half HP. I like the decisiveness that Tectonic had this entire series, that they wanted to like create plays, but Ezreal rotates late. He comes in a bit late. Shock has no more mana from shoving his mid lane, and Ryze just uses TP before this skirmish, but I don't think well, Ryze has a global ultimate. He can get around the map quite well, and this play doesn't work out. But then a play that happens later where it shows Tectonic's execution. Like, this team is very good at generating, not generating, but making plays. And you can see Tilting especially, what a standout performance, has picked the Ryze top before Baron, engages here perfectly, and Swaith does a great job of just ensuring that this Kog'Maw can't do anything else in the team fight. Malzahar and Ezreal are just sticking as a duo. Gnar goes in, but it's too late. All your damage dealers are dead, and they're able to pick up a 4-for-1 trade here. So I really am very happy to see that Tectonic have refined what happened last week and can transition this into like good execution.
It was a very back and forth game. Tectonic were able to spin the game on its head quite a few times, getting that pick on Frey in the top lane and then getting Baron when Avant had vision on it the entire time as well.
Yeah.
I just feel as though when we spoke to Jake last week in his interview, he was very confident that they were going to come out with a clean win today against Tectonic. But I feel as though they've undercooked it a bit and maybe not expected this performance out of Tectonic. A bit greedy.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is a bit greedy. Like, this happened way too much. Gnar just doesn't have QSS, and he's face-checking Malzahar, and this is the game-winning team fight. There was definitely a lot of disrespect coming out of AEV into specifically the Malzahar pick. And if Jake did say that this would be an easy match, I mean, you've just lost game 1. Like, game 2, you need to start, thinking a bit more. And Pinch said in his interview that we want to play a slow, like, controlled game. And I think, like, that's what this game turns into, but it didn't seem to work out for them.
Well, thank you once again for your thoughts, Choo Choos. But school is back for 2018, and why not make this year different by bringing League of Legends into the classroom? High school League of Legends clubs are running throughout Oceania, with students competing in inter-school esports tournaments across Australia and New Zealand. Clubs focus on fundamental values like resilience, respect and teamwork, but they must be run by a teacher. Have a chat with teachers you think might be interested and send them our new lesson plans and learning materials at leaguehighschool.com to help them get started. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be back with Game 2 of this thrilling series between Tectonic and Avant right after the break.
The ultimate hits Blinky, and Swaith is on the back line. Huge knock-up out of Paprise. Will mean that multiple members are going down, but Pabu turns that fight. 3-man Gnar ultimate. But Paprise is just way too tanky at this stage of the game. You can see Shock is and Paprise will finally fall down. Double kill for the top laner. Actually isolates Blinky out of the Taric ultimate. Big knock-up goes across. Blinky is dead. 2 members fall down. Swaith will join him. However, now the fight continues. Pabu, big Gnar into the wall. You can see Jake going forward. Huge knockouts, but they just do not have the damage to continue this fight. Pabu will jump over the wall. He wants the fight. Gets another big double knockup. This one will go into Jake. He's dead. Ultimate is out right now onto Only. However, cannot get over that wall. And this is a whitewash. Huge ultimate coming out of Pabu. Looking to turn this fight around. Shock flashing forward, but Frey is pumping out the damage. Low on the back end. Will get stunned up as well. And that will be Ezreal falling. Nexus turret 1 will fall. Nexus turret number 2 will fall. With the New Zealand background, the Tectonic crew will pick up the first victory of OPL 2018.